If you wanna stay with me, if you wanna try, maybe you could be with me, but only for the night.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Board Game Specialist. I am Melanie.
I'm Carla.
And we are on episode 122. And today we're talking about our top 9 games with an odd theme. Now, we both struggled with this list, but for different reasons. I had a hard time narrowing it down to the themes I wanted to cover out of all the weird ones I own. Now, Carla, you had a different problem.
Yeah, I had a hard finding odd themes in my collection. But maybe I'm just odd, so everything seems normal. It could be that too.
Or, I just like odd things, and that makes me
maybe.
the weirdo. All righty. So let me bring up our presentation here. So we've got that all ready to go. And before we talk about our top 9 odd theme game, we're going to talk about some games we've played lately. And we're actually going to get started with you, Carla. So what have you played lately?
One of my favorites that I've been playing lately on the table and on BGA is called Amalfi Renaissance. Now, this one is a game that is, I think it's from Japan, and they brought it over finally. It was hard to find, I think, initially, just like all their other games. Now, this is a production company. I just want to get the right name here.
I'm not sure if I can read it from here.
I can't. No, it's not the one I'm thinking.
Like that TWG name, or?
No, I thought it was that one I talked about last time, but I think they do produce this one as well. This is just a different production, but anyway, it looks like a traditional Euro trading in the Mediterranean kind of game, which kind of is. You're like playing as an Italian port town and you're trying to the town was trying to dominate the maritime power during the previous century, blah, blah, blah. But what you're doing in the game is basically trying to meet goals and prosper the most out of anyone. And how you do it is unique. It's kind of different to what most Euro games are like. And if you're watching, you can see your player board. You have all these ships and you have lighthouses on them. And how you do actions is basically most of the time with your ships. So there's a big map that you're going to play, like the central board. You're going to place most of your ships on. And for an action, for example, you can take one of your ships and place it on the main board, and it'll say, like, you need to pay bread to do so-and-so. So bread is the resource, basically money kind of thing, but you also need it to feed your fleets. So if you place a ship on the main board, you will most likely get to put 2 more ships up into a certain type of good. And there's like wine, gems, spice, wood, and there's one other thing, but I can't remember the resource. But when you push those ships up into that specific resource, that's what they are. And each ship is worth either 2 or 3 depending on the resource. So then on your next turn, you can slide those ships down to the main area on your board and then use those resources. And anytime you overspend, you get the change back in bread. So it's kind of nice because you need bread a lot of the time to do these actions. You're also trying to invite guests and then kind of hire them, and they will give you like either end game points, in-game bonuses, or an instant action right away. You're trying to build up more ships, so in order to do that you need to get wood, and then you're going to build up the ships, and they cost a different amount depending on the round you're in, and then you won't get them until the following round. So you'd like to get them the first round, but they're most expensive in the first round. So there's that going on. Then also you're placing these little lighthouses that are at the bottom of your player board. And once you place them, it gives you more room for bread. So you can actually increase your bread limit that way. And when you do place a lighthouse on one of the boat areas. Every time somebody goes there, you get a little bonus. Even if you go there, you get something. So it's kind of nice to put them in popular places that you know people are going to want to go. Like, say, for example, the wood, because everybody's going to want to build some ships. So that's kind of neat too. Then you have your guests or people that you want to invite, and you all start with this hand of cards, and they're all different. So they all kind of have some similar bonuses and end game things, but they're all slightly different. So it's like a deck that you start with, and you can use those cards to play them out and use their abilities, or you can just give them up for more bread, because a lot of bread is so tight, and at the end of every round you have to pay for your fleet of boats that you have, and every time you have build more cost, of course there's going to cost more bread. Now at the end of the round, there's also these goals that you will gain more points from if you've worked towards those, but those are just round points. There's also 3 main objectives that you're trying to complete that give you big points throughout the game. And so you kind of have to decide, am I going to go for the round ones and just go really hard on them and ignore the end game ones, or am I going to just go for those and not work so hard on the other ones? You also have these art pieces that you can purchase, and those are cards on the top, and they cost resources as well. And the nice thing is, every time you take the rightmost of that, and same with the guest, you gain a bread. So it's an incentive to always take that cheaper one, because it doesn't have any extra resources added onto it. It's one of these games that you kind of have to play. Explaining it almost sounds like every other Euro game, but it feels so different when you play it, and it's so thinky, because every time you place a boat, it's there for that round, so then you have one less boat. But then when you've paid a boat, like placed it on there, and then moved 2 up to the resources, when you move them back down, they're available. So you're trying to use those wisely in the way that you can use them more than once, because once they come back down, you can use them again. There's different spots you can go to just get bread, but there's only one spot, so that gets snapped up quite fast, because it'll give you, I think, 4 bread. But then you're wasting a boat to do that. So there's a lot of decisions, and it's really tight, but it's so addictive, this game. I'd heard about it a couple years ago, and I just liked the looks of it, because it kind of has that old Renaissance art, but in a colorful way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a different type of art, but it just looks so neat, and I never did get it. I know Bernie, our friend, had it, and he hasn't played it yet, but I've asked him, I'm like, what is this game like? He's like, I've read the rules. It sounds really cool. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get it, because I wanted to get a few more games before Car Treat to teach some newer ones. And so I got this one. And it was kind of one that I just snuck in between games, but everybody that I taught really liked it. And it's
Nice.
it's such a neat game. You should just go watch a video, because I probably didn't describe it the best, but it's really a unique way of thinking and making decisions, and it's really cool. What about you, Mel?
And this one, yeah, it does look good.
Yeah.
All right. Amalfi. I'll have to try that one out. So the game that I have played lately, it's actually Kickstarter that got delivered. And this is one that I was a little bit worried about, because every time I have played it, I've played it many times, but always a prototype with the designer, and he kind of ran the whole game. So I didn't have to think or try to remember everything. And I was wondering, will I be able to play it just as easily, just me? And that game is Unscrewed. Which honestly could fit in today's theme, because this game is about 90s cartoons that the network is downsizing to just one. So it's a battle to the death to be the cartoon that's going to stay on the network, and everything else is getting canceled. So it's a quick game. It plays in about 15-30 minutes, and it's an elimination game. So everybody, you're just trying to stay alive. And every round, the board gets smaller and smaller, and things happen, and you're trying to be the last cartoon standing, because that's the one that gets the network. And there's all sorts of stuff going on in this one. You'll have like these bomb spitters that'll kind of put a bomb. There's anvils that'll come down. There's walls that you can't walk through. And it's also a programming game where you kind of put your movement, and then you're going to reveal your first movement going around the table, and then do that movement and hope that nobody messes you, so that the second movement still works. And honestly, I had no problem playing it by myself without the designer there telling me what to do. The game, like the player aid was really straightforward. The game is very straightforward as far as like how to play it and how to look up the rules. It went really, really well. So that was good, which is good too, because I play with a bunch of new players. I was the only one who had played it before when we played it. So then that was great. I also really like that the board comes with like the directions on the side. So you have the north, east, south, and west kind of showcase. Even if you put it completely wrong, doesn't matter. It's on the table. Everybody can see. So when you're picking to go north, you can easily visualize which way is north. You don't have to try to figure it out. And it was cool. Like, and then this, like, I unboxed it. Okay, so because it's brand new, then the tray that it comes with, and then the lid that it has on, and like everything just was so great. Plus, like, all of these little acrylic standees look amazing. This is such a neat game. There's like 10 different maps you can play on, so every time you play you can change it up a little bit. And there's 5 different characters that you can play as well. It was great. It was so fun. Now, you've played this one with me, Carla, once before, right?
Yeah, we played it. I think we did your live stream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a review on it, and I think that was on the Kickstarter page as well. But yeah, so it arrived. It's even more beautiful than I remember it, and it was just quick and straightforward to play, and so fun and chaotic. And sometimes you don't like elimination game, but when it's done in 15 minutes, it kind of really doesn't matter. And you're like, okay, again. And then you can come back after you eliminated, because you died, came back, and then died again, I think, when you played it. And that happened as well in our game. So,
oh, really?
Like, it being eliminated is not final. Like, you can have certain current circumstances that'll bring you back. So that can happen. But it was just chaotic fun. And I'm so glad I have my own copy now.
Awesome.
So that was Unscrewed. But yeah, so now we're going to start with our top 9 games with an odd themes. And what I kind of did with that is, it's a theme that is like, I can't believe they made a game out of this. That's kind of the feeling I was going with when I kind of picked my list. And I kind of picked the most outrageous theme as my number 1. And that's how I try to rank them. How did you do yours?
See, mine were more like just a bit odd, but just kind of different, and had like some really silly things in the game. Like the theme alone might not be the oddest part, but there's some like quirky
something
things
in
there
it
that I thought were silly, and
wonderful.
And I basically listed them in my favorite preference of gameplay. So.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It might.
Yeah, perfect.
The oddest one is probably in the middle of my list, actually.
Sounds good. All right, we're going to start with you, Carla. So what is your number 9?
Okay. The first one is this little deck builder called Fort. Now, the straight theme alone might not seem super odd. I mean, it's kids that are building forts and you're trying to have the best fort. But the funny thing in it, the little odd thing is how you build the deck is at the end of your turn, you will take cards from each other. So you're stealing friends. They call it like you're stealing friends from other people. And so because all the cards are kids, and the art in this is really neat. It's the same artist as Root and like all those. What is it? Leader? What's their production company? Leader Games?
Oh, I'm not sure.
So, same artist, but I feel like this one was the best of the artist, the best art of the bunch, because it's quite colorful, and the kids are all really cute and cartoony. And if you do have the little expansion, which is dogs and cats, it's really neat too, because it adds a little bit more. But what you're doing in this is you are trying to build up your fort. You have this little player board, and you start at a certain, at the beginning of your little fort track. And basically the game will end when somebody has gotten to a certain size of fort. And every time you increase your size of fort, you also increase the amount of resources you can hold. And the resources in this game are toys and pizza. So you're trading toys and pizza all the time for different things. The deck building part is neat because it's a lot of set collection, but actions as well. So you're trying to set collect basically the suit of the card, because then if you have the same suit and you've drawn them in your, you get your 5 cards from your deck, you can play them together. Whereas if you don't have any of the same, you'll have a weaker action. But it's all kind of neat little actions that you can do and try to, increase your resources, increase the size of your fort, steal from the other players. Then you have to give up some cards. You can only hold so many in your hand at the end. So it's quite, resource management, hand management as well. But such a neat little game that really only takes about half hour to play. And I've only played this at 2, maybe 3 players once, but I would love to try it at 4 because it would have that much more selection of cards to choose from when you're picking up your cards at the end of the round. But it's just a neat little game and such a cool little theme. I mean, the oddness of, you're stealing friends because their fort's better. I want to go to their fort. Or they're going to come to my fort because I've made it better. I have more pizza, I have more toys and all that stuff. And it's just a really cute game, and I can't wait to get this one back to the table. But that's my number 9, Fort.
Nice. Yeah, this is a neat theme. For sure. Yeah, and I think this is the only game I've ever come across that's about kids building a fort, for sure. So it's a unique theme as well, for sure. Yeah. Okay, my number 9 is such a wonderful theme. And this is a game about tapeworms. And this one is a small little card game. And this was given to me and I played it, and it was actually really good. The artwork is very comical looking at it, and you have all these different colored worms, and the goal is you're trying to be the first player to discard your hand, and you can add to the tapeworm as long as you can kind of add the same color, and you're trying to build that up, but it ends as soon as you add a head to it. Then you can't add any more to it. If you've placed an head, it ends it there. So then you could also play where it kind of branches out into different worms as well. So then you can kind of put different colored ones. I mean, honestly, if you think about it, this is a disturbing theme. But it was actually quite an interesting strategic game. And some cards that you'll play will kind of do different things, where it'll be you can draw a card and discard a card, or kind of help you get the proper card you want, or force the other player to draw a card, or it'll kind of you'll cut the worm and kind of discard part of it and then kind of forcing them to get going again or whatever. So it's a very, honestly, the gameplay was good. The theme is questionable for sure, which makes it perfect for this list. So that's my number 9, Tapeworm.
Yeah, I've never heard of this one. That sounds cool. All right, my next one is actually one of the oddest ones as well. I forgot about this one, but this one is the Bloody Inn. Though this is the craziest theme, that you run a hotel and you are killing your guests and burying them and taking all their money. So this one definitely qualifies for very, very odd. But the gameplay in it is really neat and thinky. You are drafting cards from around the main board, which the board only consists of holding cards, which are the what are they called? Not peasants. I think they are called peasants. So they're just basic people that can help you do things. And everyone else is either like a cop, or they're like a grave digger, or someone who will help you bribe some other people. And there's different actions you can do, but one of them is to bribe people. And so what you do is you will take cards from around there, and depending on the value of that card, you would need other people to help you bribe them. So if they had like a 3 on them, you would need 3 people. Now, if you had in your hand somebody who was like a bribe helper, then you wouldn't have to give up that card. But if you didn't, you'd have to give up cards in order to get them. Then what you need to do is kill them. So you need someone to help you kill. Typically the cops, they have the guns, so they will help you kill. Then you need someone to help you bury it. And it's neat because there's all these different people that can help you do that. But not just that, you need somewhere to bury them. You all start with one, now I forget the name of what they call it, but you have one spot where you can bury someone. Then after that, you have to build more to bury. The neat thing is you can bury them in other people's graves, whatever, they're not called graves, but you can bury them there, and then you split the money. So you might think, well, why would you do that? Because you only have 2 actions per round. And so it's like, sometimes if you're like, okay, I'm going to bribe this person, I got him, and then I'm going to kill them, and then, there's cops still on the main board. If there's cops there at the end of the round and you've killed someone, they're coming to get you. So you need to not do that if there's possibly cops there. If there's none there, then it's fine. You're okay until next round, but then you need to bury them quick because there could be more cops there. And then another neat thing is the money track only goes up to, I think, 30 or 40. And so you have to launder that money in order, like once you get up to that amount, you need to launder it. So take it out and take these banknotes, and then you can build up more money again. Because if you go beyond it, you just don't get it. And then at the end of the round, you have to always pay money for however many people you have in your hand. So you don't want to have too many in your hand, but you do want to have lots in your hand in order to have actions and helpers to do things. So it's quite a thinky game, but it's really neat. And it's one of those games you play it the first time and you're like, I don't know how I'm going to get anything done here. And then you kind of figure it out. Oh, okay, I got to do this and slowly do this, and, keep hiring people to help me, but then do it quickly so I don't have a big hand at the end of the round. But it's just really neat. And the art is so funny in this because it's, there was another game, what's it called? Lofoten. There's other games by this artist, but it's such a unique artist because it's like kind of like a watercolor cartoon. So it's like blotchy kind of, but still really neat. And it's like, this one is very like dark and spooky looking, which is definitely the theme. But it's just, this is a game that people either love it or hate it. Like I've played it with a few people and they're like, I can't stand this game. And then other people are like, I love this game. So it's like very, very niche, this one. It's not for everybody, but it's definitely for me. And I do love this game. And it definitely has an odd theme. So that's my number 8, The Bloody End.
That one does look really interesting. And I think it definitely fits on this list.
You haven't played it yet, Mel?
Alrighty. Mine, I have not played it yet. I know.
Yeah, we have to play
It's a little shameful for how many times you talk about it. It's like, yeah, that sounds great.
I've even brought it to your house. But some of us played it at your house. Yeah. One of
probably
your game days. Yeah.
Oh, man. We need to play some more. All right. Yeah. My number 8 is Décorum. So Décorum is a game about people living together, so roommate or couples or whatever, and they each and everybody's redecorating the place. Like you moved in, you're decorating the place, and you have certain things you really like and certain things you don't like. But you're not going to just be, I don't like that. You're kind of doing all passive aggressive. So you're going to take turn adding something to the decor. So it could be that you're adding like a painting on the wall, or you're putting a painting, you're painting the wall, or you're adding like a lamp or different things like that. And then it has different aspect, like maybe the color of it or the style, like maybe it's Art Deco or it's more country or it's more traditional or different things like that. And because you start and you have your set of rules, and then you'll be like taking turn placing things. And then on your turn, you can remove what was previously placed and it'd be like, okay, I see that you painted this blue. And no, I don't think so. And you just kind of flick it off and then do something else. But you need to kind of set it up so that everything in the room matches both your rules. And there's different like scenarios that you can go through. So you're just kind of going through each scenarios until you get it. Be like, okay, yeah, that works for me. Yeah, that works for me too. Then you're successful. But I thought that was just such a great theme, like such an interesting, because how many times like are you trying to do something and then like your partner's just like, it's like, oh my God, I love it. It's like, yeah, I hate it. Like, so, and you're undoing each other's work, right? So it's so much like this is kind of definitely a game that shows like if you just communicated, it'd be easy, right? So communicate in real life, people. But in this game, you don't, and it makes an amazing game. And I think that's just a unique, interesting theme, and that is Decorum.
Yeah, that's a good one. I did have that on my paper list, but when I went to look for it to transfer it to Pub Meeple, I couldn't find it. So I just
probably
made a
because
whole
of the
new
accent
list.
you.
I wonder. Anyway, it didn't make it there, but that definitely would have been probably in my 9 because it is definitely unique and odd. Good one. All right, my number 7 is a game called Petrichor. Now, this one you were playing as a tiny little rain cloud, and you were traveling around trying to drop your raindrops and basically control different areas on the board, which are all these little tiles. Now, this is a beautiful game as well. It's all, they use little flat, like gem-like stones for the raindrops, and you each have your own color. So you get to like feel these smooth gem rocks the whole game. But depending on player count, you put out so many tiles. I think the smallest it would be is a 3x3 maybe, but the more players it'll be larger. And so your game will change every time because your game has a huge stack of tiles and you'll just put out different ones. And what the tiles are there plants and flowers and fields and different things that need water to grow, basically. And so what you do for actions is you have a hand of cards which are weather cards, and they each do a different thing. Like you'll have sun, wind, snow, and rain. No, it's not rain. There's something else. But anyway, and depending on what card you play, that will move your cloud a different way. So it might, like, you might just move adjacent, or it might jump over 2, or it might actually, what card you're playing might actually cause your cloud to rain down. Now your clouds are these little, depending if you got a base game, they're these little cardboard built clouds, so they kind of are like little open boxes. But if you have like the Kickstarter collector's edition, they're these little plastic round, how do I explain them?
It's like on a standee almost, right?
Yeah, clouds
like a little
on
bowl
standee.
On a standee, yeah.
Yeah, like a little bowl, but in a cloud shape. They're really nice. And so you move that around, and depending on whether you might have collected more raindrops, so you have more gems in your cloud, and then you might move them around and you get to drop them on these different tiles. Now what's neat is you're not just trying to control everything, because some of the tiles will give points to the second most person, or some will give them to the last place person on that tile. But what happens is some of the actions can cause other people to have to do things. So there's quite a bit of take that in this game, which isn't typically my go-to for games, but every once in a while I do like that. I like that you have to, you have to think, and things can happen to you, and you can, it's not like you've built this big thing up and they're destroying it. It's just that they're making you drop a raindrop, and now you are first place, and you do not want to be first place on that tile. But it's neat how it works too, because depending on the cards you play, there's this little harvest area in the middle, which is dice, and they will cause the dice to move down. And so they have these little like kind of icons on them that will start with like 3 on each dice, and then as you play different cards, they will move down. And once it gets to a certain number of the icons on the dice, then that is like the harvest, and that's when you will score the points. So you have to be careful not to put all your raindrops or whatever at the beginning because you're not scoring until that happens. So if nobody makes that happen and you're in the perfect position, that's not going to work for you. So there's a lot of, management going on, thinking, okay, well, I need to rush that harvest dice because I've got almost all my raindrops in my perfect position here. And then somebody can go in and mess it up. But it's really a neat game, and such a cool theme, just being a little rain cloud roaming around. But you don't really hear about this one that much, but it is very unique and very cool. And that's my number 7, Petrichor.
Yes, this is perfect for this theme for sure. I wonder how they came up with it. It's like, oh, we should make a game about being a rain cloud.
Well, and what Petrichor means is the smell of the earth after it rains. That's what the definition is. So it's kind of a beautiful name, and the cover is quite beautiful. It's very simple white box with this like huge raindrop with a bunch of like plants and stuff in the middle.
Yeah, it has a very zen look to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. So my number 7 is, somebody came up and says, let's make this great game. What should it be about? And it says, you know what would be fun? Laundry. And this game is piles.
I forgot about piles. Shoot.
So this game is about trying to create, sorting your laundry. So you start with 7 piles of 4 cards each, and each card has a different garment on it. And you're trying to put all of the same ones together. So if you have like tight jeans with like ripped jeans, and you want all different colored tight jeans with the rips in it to be together in the one pile. Now, what's tricky is there are 4 cards face up in the middle, and you can only trade with your pile, with one of your pile, with what's in the middle. So if you need those tight jeans to go to another pile that you have in front of you, you must first trade it with what's in the middle, and then go grab that other pile if you remember which one it is, because they're face down. Be like, okay, it's this one, and then go and pick it up to put it in, and then you put another garment from your hand into there. And you do this back and forth trading until each pile is a set of 4. And once you have a set of 4, you can put them face up to show that it's done. Now, what's going to happen, and always does happen, is you need all your toques over here. So you're going to trade a toque to the middle so that you can go pick it up in the other one, and then somebody else takes your toque.
Yep.
And your mate is like, what are you doing? And then you're going to have to say, okay, do I continue to collect toque, or should I drop the toque and try to go for the mittens? Because they are not putting that toque back. And they could have no idea you're trying to go for the toque, right? Maybe they're just traded the toque because they needed the skirt on the table so they could trade it elsewhere. And that happens all the time. But it's a real-time, fast-paced game. I love it. It is so good. Now, I had played this game a long time ago just with a regular deck of cards, and you're just kind of putting all your 3s together and all the kings together or whatever. So it does work with just a regular deck of cards, but having them as garment is so satisfying. And, a whole game about doing laundry. So that is my number 7, piles.
Yeah, this is a really good one. I didn't even think of putting this on my list. And it plays at a high player count, I think, of 8.
A 2 to 8, yeah.
2 to 8. And it actually plays well at all player counts. And it's neat because a lot of the garments are similar. So there's like short shorts, but then there's like jean short shorts. And so for some people, like I know when we first played it with my family, my son's like, well, are these the same? I'm like, no, those are jean shorts and those are khaki shorts. He's like, oh.
And you have socks and ankle socks.
You.
And
yeah. And it'll surprise you, like, people that do well at this game. Because you think, oh, like, I know when we first played it, my brother's like, oh, my God, I'm going to be terrible. And he ended up winning, like, 3 of the games. Which I was like,
nice.
This did not think this would be his type of game. But it's a really cool game. And this is neat because we have a friend that we played with, and he's a coach. And he said, I'm going to do this with my team. And it can be like a workout thing where he said they're going to have to do the piles in the middle and then run to the corners to get their cards. And then when they want to trade out, they have to run to the middle. So it would have been a total like workout.
Oh, that would have been hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, this is a really cool one. Good choice. All right, my next one is a trick-taking game, and this is called Rebel Princess. Now, the theme behind this one is you're all princesses, and you're trying to ignore all the princes that are trying to give you to propose. You're trying to avoid all the proposals from these princes, so you don't want them at your party. And so how you do that is you're playing cards, just like a normal trick-taking game, and then as soon as somebody doesn't have the suit that they've played, they can put in a prince, which is like a slough card, right? But once a prince is snuck into the ball, this is the theme, then you can start leading with princes. And the princes all have a little skull on them, and that means they're negative points. So you're not wanting to collect or win any tricks with princes on them. And so it's kind of neat because there's also one card which is in a normal suit. It's called a pet suit. That is the frog prince, and he has like 6 or 7 skulls on him, so you don't want him as well. But if you manage to get all of them and like shoot the moon like you do in Hearts, if you've ever played that game, then you get a minus 10 points, and you don't want points in this game, so you're trying to have 0 if possible, but it's very tricky to do. Now, on top of that, you all start with these princess powers. You get 2 to start with, and you choose 1, and they can be played throughout the game, which really changes up a trick-taking game, because some of them you can play before the round, some of them you play after the round, some of them you play during the round, and it lets you like play something out of suit or just trump something with whatever you have. Like, it just really changes it up. And then every round there's also like a kind of a decree card that is flipped, and that will add another little rule to that round. It's such a cool game. I played this a couple times at Car Treat, and it works so well with gamers. But I did try it with my family, and at first they were like, they don't love new rules to trick-taking games. I don't like this. There's too many rules. And then once we got going, then it got better, and they started to get it, and they were like, understanding how everything can change, and that it's not like a normal trick-taking game where once you're like really down in points, it's hard to get back up. Because I know I've won this game twice by being very probably like in 3rd, 4th place, but then one rule came up, one decree card that made 3s minus, I think it was 3 points off your score. And I ended up collecting like 4 or 5 that round, and it made me win the whole game. So, I mean, this can really change. It's not just, your typical, if you're winning like quite a bit, then game over. No, it can really change on a dime. And it's just kind of the funniest theme. Like, we don't want these princes in, and we don't want any of their proposals, so stay away. But it's just a cool, really cool trick-taking game that I enjoy. And that's my number 6, Rebel Princess. And I hear they're actually making a zombie princess one, but I don't know.
Oh, really?
Zombie. I don't know if it's zombie Rebel Princess or just zombie princesses. And so it's just kind of neat that they're gonna change it up a bit. But yeah, that's my
I've
number
only
6.
played this one once at Car Treat, and it is good, and it's on my wish list, but I just haven't bought it yet. Very nice. All right, my number 6 is Tempurra. Now, I'm a huge fan of yellow mini games, and so far all of them, I really like them. So this one is one that I was really impressed with. And this game is all about these cats. And the cats' goals are they're trying to eat as much as possible without getting indigestion. So you want to get as much food as possible, but you don't want to get that little sick cat card that is like, okay, you ate too much, now you're sick. And it's really interesting because you have all of these cards, and you have the deck, and somewhere in the deck there's an indigestion card, and then you can play your card. Now you can play to match what was there, or you can go one above, and then but you've got different action cards that'll be like, okay, well, we're reversing, so the last person goes again, and then the last person's like, man, it's like, I thought I was good to go, now I have to go. And if you can't play, you have to draw. And if you have to draw and then a deck is going down and you draw an indigestion, well, then you take the whole deck, you take an indigestion token, and then you kind of shuffle and you add more indigestion, and then you kind of set up again. And you got to pick up so many cards, and you got to pick up as many cards as there was in the discard pile. So depending on how many is in there, how many you got to pick up. And then, and then you pick up your card, and if an indigestion card comes up, that's where you have to it kind of resets and a new indigestion card goes in there. But it is like such a neat game. The artwork is super adorable, except for number 5. Number 5 is a hairless cat, and that's just grosses me out. Like, if you have a hairless cat, I'm sure you love it. But it's kind of one that's like only a mother could love. Like they gross me out. Like, whoa. But the other ones are all like these Asian cats, like in a different buffet type and setup in the artwork. So artwork's super cute. Gameplay super fun. This is one that my family and I have played so many times. It just goes over so well. But the theme is all about how much can we eat without getting sick. And I thought that was really unusual. So that's why Tempurra is my number 6.
That's a good one. Yeah, I forgot about that one as well.
You've played this one, right?
Yes, I have it. I think I have it. I know these were the ones that were from Bianca's that we got for like a couple bucks or whatever. Yeah. Oh, that reminds me, I have one of your yellow. How do you say it? Yellow games?
Yellow, yeah.
Ghost game?
Oh, that's so exciting.
Yeah. I don't even know if I told you I ended up getting all those games, but from that lady.
No.
Anyway. Yeah. So my next one, my number 5, is Isle of Cats. Now, the funny theme about this one is you are trying to rescue all these cats from the evil Lord Vesh, who he's got all these cats on this island, and you're trying to rescue them and like pry them into your boat with like fish and things. And so you're trying to get as many cats as you can, but you need them like placed in a certain way because it's a polyomino game, and you were placing these polyominoes, which are the cats, and they're all in different shapes and they're all laying funny and different polyomino style, and you're placing them in your boat. Now what you're trying to do is cover certain areas of your boat because you have all these different rooms in your boat, and there's about 7 rooms, and at the end of the game, if you have not completely covered any of these rooms, you're getting -5 points for each room. Now, it's very hard to cover all of the rooms. Well, I think it's impossible to cover all of the rooms, but it's very hard also to cover complete rooms other than the tiny ones, because some of the bigger rooms they're situated so differently that it's very difficult to try to cover every space. Now, you also have these rats on your boat, and you're trying to cover the rats because they're also worth negative points. You're trying to keep your color of cats together so that you can build families. As soon as you have 3 cats, you have a family of cats. And the more cats you have in your family, the higher points. And they get quite big. If you have, I think, 7 or 8 cats, you're getting like 25, 30 points for each family. Now, above that, you're also drafting these cards, which allow you to have baskets to trap the cats. Will give you speed to how you're going to be in turn order. If you have a lot of speed, you will be the first one to be able to go in the round. You'll have other objective cards, and there's private and public. So some of them you will keep and have to pay for. You have to pay for all your cards with fish, but you'll keep them face down and only you will score them at the end. Whereas the public ones, you'll place them face up and everybody gets to score them. You also have some of these treasures that will kind of fill in different spots on your board. There's basic treasures, and then there's rare treasures. Now, also there's these point cards, and all these point cards will give you end game points depending, and they're all different. So one of them might be for every cat that is on the edge of your boat, you're going to get 2 points. Or if you filled these 2 rooms completely, you're going to get points. Or if some of them are even opposite. If you've left 5 rats showing, you're going to get 10 points. So you're just, you're trying to figure out what is the best way. You're making some of your own scoring points, but you're also trying to do the basic rules of the game. Now, I know, Mel, you've played this, and I feel like you've been taught wrong or played
I've
wrong.
only
Because
played
it took
the
you
once.
guys hours.
It took 3.5 hours.
No, this game should take an hour max. It's
Like,
not
the
a long
gameplay
game.
was okay. What really bothered me with this game was how chaotic the table was. There was pieces everywhere. It's like, because you like pick them up and you put new one down, but then the other one that got picked up, it just got shoved. There was just pieces absolutely everywhere. I think this could use like some sort of organizational
could use
something.
a game mat probably, but
something
really you should
like
only
that.
have pieces on either side of the central board, and then below is just the treasure. So it really shouldn't be that scattered around. But,
well, all the other pieces that where they come from, anyways, I don't know.
They're in a bag.
It was
should
mayhem.
Be in a bag. Maybe they didn't have a bag.
I don't recall there being a bag.
Oh, really?
Maybe.
That's weird.
But I don't remember. It was many years ago. But like the gameplay was okay, but it was just kind of like it took so long. It was such mayhem on the table. I was like, I don't know if I need this one. And I have never played it again. So I might play it again and be like, what was I thinking? This game's amazing. Yeah. But I do like this theme. You're trying to rescue these cats, and these cats are like, no, you're not rescuing me unless you lure me in.
And you're gonna lure them with some fish and stuff. But yeah, it's neat. It's this game was on Kickstarter. I remember watching Rado, and I'm like, oh, I kind of like this game, but I had so many Kickstarters that I didn't back it, and then I kind of regretted it after. And then I was on the Dice Tower cruise, and one of the guys we met there, he's like, I got to teach you this game because people are passing over this game thinking it's a children's game just because it's, about little cats, colorful cats. Mm-hmm. He said, it's a really thinky game. We got to play it. And so we played it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I do like this game. But it's neat. And I mean, the theme is funny. And it's basically, he has a world, like the designer of this game. And it came from, like, what did I say? His name was Vesh or something, the evil Vesh.
Right.
So he has other games in that world. So he's kind of makes all his games about that world, which is kind of neat. I kind of like that. But yeah, this one is a really neat polyomino. That's my number 5, Isle of Cats.
Wonderful. All right, my number 5 is probably the most adorable game on my list, and this is Capybara Crush. Now, this game is hitting Kickstarter this month or next month. So it's about to hit Kickstarter. I'm on the watch list for it because I'm going to want it. But this game is about having a lineup of capybaras that are stacking things on their heads, and you're trying to create different combination. But there's 3 things stacked on their head, and it can be like this. It's not called an orange, but it looks like an orange. So there's an orange, there's a goat, there's a monkey, there's a turtle. So, I love the turtle. But there's all these different things that they can stack on their head. And what's really interesting, and this is not a great picture, but because you're going to take the card and you're going to add it. And you're trying to create a lineup of all of these 5 things. So if you're looking on there right now, the first 2 cards, if you're watching, like the first 2 cards has monkeys. The first one has the monkey on the bottom, so right on top of the capybara head. The other one is on the very top. So because they're more than 1 space away, that breaks the row. So the monkeys don't count. Those 2 cards don't count in the monkey row lineup you're trying to do. But the goat and the oranges do, because the goat's at the very top in the first card and it's in the middle. So because it's just 1 under and then 1 card over, that one still counts as connected. Same with the orange here. But on your turn, you're going to add a card to your lineup. Either you're going to add it on the capybara side and you're just going to have a capybara, or you're going to flip that card over and it's going to be the lineup card. Then you can add it as. And then what's really cute is the lineup card has the 3 things and the top head of the capybara, and you just stack it on top to match the head. Then it's like the capybara's collected all these things on top of its head. for some reason. But it's just really interesting, puzzly little game where you're trying to create the longest lineup of all 5 of these different things on top of the capybara head. And there's different kind of ability that you can activate. You have like 3 little star token that you can activate. So it could be that what you're stacking up, you stack them upside down. So you reverse the roll of it. Or, you know, depending on the card, what you're going to be collecting. But super, super adorable. But the theme is about capybaras stacking stuff on their head, lining up in a row. So I think that's great. And that is my number 5, Capybara Crush. Oh, super adorable. Super adorable.
Is this one from Japan? It looks like it could be.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, cute. All right, my number 4. Now, this one was, to me, I guess it's not as odd as Bloody End, but it's fairly odd. And I've been talking about this one lately, and this is called Last Will. This is about having inherited a bunch of money from your uncle, but you won't get this money until you spend it all. And you're trying to literally spend all your money and have the worst reputation. And if you have the expansion, you're trying to get fired. You're just trying to be the worst possible person in the game. And it's just funny because it's the reverse of everything you're usually trying to do. So you're trying to buy high and sell low. You're trying to spend all this money on frivolous things. You can, in this game, you can take your pets to dinner with you. You can, you know, go to the opera and just spend money. You can spend money on friends. You can get married and have this lavish wedding. You can do all these silly things, but it is a worker placement game with a lot of card play. But the worker selection is neat because at first you're going to choose how many actions you have per round. Now it's neat because if you choose a lot of actions, then you're going to be the last person to do them. If you choose few actions, you'll be higher in turn order. And turn order is important because there's only certain things and certain cards on the board that you can acquire. And so if you're last in line and you really, really needed like the one card, or you needed the one spot, you wanted to adjust the real estate, then you need to go first. But then you're going to have less actions. So it's kind of that, you know, what do I do? Do I take less but get what I want, or do I just chance it and go for a bunch of actions and hopefully I'll get what I want? Then you're playing these cards into your tableau, and you only have a certain amount of spots to put them. And then some of them can be activated each round, but a lot of them will require an action to do that. So you have to think, okay, do I want to use my actions that way, or do I want to do them a different way? The houses will all depreciate, which you do want that to happen because they get less in value. But it's neat how you can manipulate the market because certain houses will be worth more. So when you want to buy them at a very high price. And then when you go to sell them after they've depreciated a bunch, then you try to flip that market around and sell them for like $2. And the winner of the game is basically, if somebody gets below 0, that triggers the end, but then you count, and who's most in debt wins this game. And it's just a fun game. It's just the theme alone, you know, you're doing all these silly things, taking pets to dinner with you and blowing your money on all this stuff. Sounds like it would be like so much fun to do, but you would always feel in the back of your head like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this, but
right, it doesn't feel right.
And there is like a sequel to this. Yeah, it is good. There is a sequel to this game called Prodigal's Club, I think it's called. And I know the brothers Murph talk about that. That's one of their favorite games. And so it keeps coming back in stock in Board Game Bliss. And apparently you can add it on to this game. I don't know how you do that, but I'm tempted to get it, but it seems like it's a lot like this, except that you're like in this male club and you're just trying to be the biggest jerk there, basically, which, I mean, sounds interesting as well. But my pick was 4, or Last Will for number 4.
Nice. Wonderful. So my number 4, let me see what that is. Okay, so before I talk about number 4, let me talk to you a little bit about my hometown. So I'm originally from New Brunswick. I'm from a small fishing village on the island of Lamèque. And Lamèque is an island that is only accessible through one bridge that connects the town of Shipaggan and the town of Lamèque together. So there's one bridge. And this bridge is also designed to allow fishing boats to go through. And the game that I'm talking about is Pont Lamèque-Shipaggan, which means the bridge of Lamèque and Shipaggan. And in the background, you can see, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see the picture of like it's taking with the bridge in the back. So this is the actual bridge. And this board game is designed to look exactly like that bridge. So it's a little box, and then both sides opens down, and it becomes the road that goes up to the bridge on either side. And it's all about, can you cross the bridge? Because if you like, and you would come up to this bridge and be like, okay, please there be no boat, please there be no boat, because otherwise you're waiting for all these fishing boats to go through. My aunt and uncle once got caught on this bridge because there was a horrible storm and the power line broke on the bridge, and they were trapped between the power lines onto this bridge. So they were on this bridge in their car for hours before they got like rescued. And there's been cases where, you know, they're rushing to the hospital, somebody's in labor, and then the bridge is up, so you're not going through.
No.
So they've created a game about this, which is all about trying to get these vehicles through the bridge, through Lamèque to Shipaggan. And then you have different type of vehicles. And then you'll have these little boats that'll come through that kind of stops the traffic. And then it's kind of lining up. But it's a 2-player game, but the most vehicles you can get through gives you the benefit. But then you can kind of put, you know, a lineman or workers on the boat, and it stops the traffic on the one side. Then you're kind of playing that on the other person's like, oh, sorry, they're doing construction, stop the traffic. And you're trying to get as many of your own cars through. And then depending on the type of vehicle that goes through, how many points they're worth as well. So the bigger vehicles give you more points, while the little sedan will give you less points. I just love that this is a game about that bridge that I grew up with. I mean, this is very specific to that one bridge between Lamèque and Shipaggan that most absolutely everybody would not have heard of, because this is such a small community. But I love that there's a game that was created about it. And of course, I had to get it last time I was back home. And I Googled, like, because I was saying, hey, it's Acadian Day was coming up. I like, are there any Acadian games? And somebody said, well, there's this game. I guess it's kind of fit because it's in the Acadian Peninsula. And I was like, oh my God, I need it. So found it, picked it up. Super, super thrilled, just because this is the bridge that I grew up with, right? So that's my number. We're on number 4. So Pont Lamèque-Shipaggan, ça avance ou pas?
So do you know the designer of this game? Like, he must have lived there, or she.
They're local, so it's a local company. I don't personally know them. I am following their Facebook page now. But yeah, it's just such a unique game based on that region. So I absolutely love that about it.
Cool. That's really neat. All right. My number 3 is Obsession. Now, this one is more, I put it in the odd theme because it's kind of strange to us Canadians. We don't really...
I suppose, right?
We don't really go about our way so concerned about our reputation and our standings in the society, basically. It's not like that here. I don't know if it's like this where you are, but this one is about a mid-19th century Victorian England. And you're basically trying to have the best reputable family and portray that you're rich and wealthy, and that you're trying to entice the, what are their names? The two...
Rothschild?
I'm forgetting. No, it's not Rothschild. Fairchilds. The two Fairchilds.
Fairchild.
So there's a male and a
Yeah.
female. And at the end of like the courting phase, you're trying to have had the best tableau for that round in order to lure one into your family kind of for the round. And they are cards. And so this is I think they call it a worker placement, but I don't know that that's really the mechanic in this, because you literally
Well, there kind of is, because you got to place the servants.
You
So those would be
choose-
your
yeah, you
workers.
but you choose the tile for the action. So you choose
Yeah.
from your own board the action, and each of your everyone starts with the same tiles, and you'll choose a tile and you'll kind of place it up in the top left corner, and then you might need workers for that. So you don't always need workers for
I suppose.
the thing, but a lot of times you do. So then you're gonna play so for example, let's say we're going to have a cricket match. We're gonna place that tile up there. That cricket match requires 4 gentry. So gentry can be male or female guests. Sometimes it just requires ladies, and sometimes it just requires gentlemen. But if it's 4, you can choose anyone. And so out of your hand of cards, you all start with like a hand of like 5 or 6 cards, and you start with a family, and you all have a different player power at the beginning. And then you're going to have to play these cards depending on what is required. So if I need 4, I can take 2 men, 2 women, doesn't matter. And I'll play them. Now, they themselves, the cards might require footsmen. They might require a valet, a lady's maid, what else is there? A housekeeper. There's certain things that are required, and you have to have those workers available. And so the first round, I have everybody available, so I can use those workers, and I place them on that tile. And then once I've had everyone I needed, then I get all the rewards from the cards. And the rewards might be higher reputation, so you get to improve your reputation. It might be some money. It might be I get to bring in more guests to my deck. So there's deck building in this as well, which is neat. And then when I'm done, I will take all those workers, and they will go in this exhausted area. And so they won't be available for me next round. And that tile will come back into my tableau, but it'll flip over, and now will be positive points on there for the end of the game. Then I can choose to buy more tiles if I have enough money. And the tiles kind of will slide down as they've gotten, someone's bought them, then they get a little bit cheaper. But there's different colors of tiles in different areas. Each tile kind of has like its own theme. Like there's the sports tiles, there's the service tiles, and all different things. But you're trying to build this tableau up of yours and flip your tiles over and gather like really reputable guests, because the guests are each worth a certain amount of points, and build up your reputation. Now, the funny thing is there's some cards, there's like an American heiress, and she gives you a whole bunch of money, but she drops your reputation like 4 points or something. So you don't want to have her at your house, because it's just so embarrassing. And so it's, to me, that's the odd theme in it, is that there's so many things that are so proper, and they're just, they're just frowned upon by them, that you just wouldn't do something like that. Whereas here it's a little bit different. We're a friendly bunch, us Canadians, but we don't really, and they probably don't do this in England anymore. I mean, other than
Yeah, I'm sure it's kind of over that. But I bet you they have more of that left than we ever would.
I think they do have the more base of that. And it's basically, if you've ever watched Downton Abbey, it's Downton Abbey, the board game, which I do
100%.
love watching that movie or that series. They're so funny, and just how proper they are, and how so many things are just like, oh, you cannot do that because it's just not done here. It's
not
like,
done.
what? Yeah.
Watch me.
That is my number 3 obsession. It's a very good game as well.
Great game. Yeah, I love this one. All right. My number 3 is a game called First Rat. And First Rat is, you each run a rat family. And you've heard that the moon is made out of cheese. So now we're racing to get to the moon so we can maximize on this cheese situation and get ourselves very well situated. Now, in order to do that, we're going to need to build a spaceship. So we're going to need to get material, and it's all about the movement, and it has a very interesting movement mechanism because you can move 1 or 2 rats depending on how close they are to each other, and depending on where you land is what you collect. But you can kind of arrange to send them back, but then the best stuff is going to be up further, but there is benefit to kind of going back and doing different things again. So the whole movement mechanism is super interesting. And then depending on where you end, like maybe you're collecting tin cans because that's going to be the body of your rocket, but then you're going to want to collect some vinegar and baking soda because that's the trust power, right? There's batteries and calculators that you need to get because that's going to be what's going to power where your spaceship's going to go. So the whole theme is ridiculous. I mean, like, this is like, there's no way, but it's so comical. And you're trying to get to the end, and if you get your rat all the way to the top, then he becomes like an astronaut, and then you get points for that. But it's all depending on how much you've built up everywhere, how much points you're gonna get. And I thought it was just so comical how everything kind of comes together, and it just works so well. And then that whole movement mechanism was so very unique to this game and so interesting. I really, really enjoyed my play of this. It's one that I bought because I had heard good things and then didn't play for a really long time. And finally, I was like, okay, we're playing this. And I got to play it. I was like, okay, yeah, it was good. So I'm glad I bought it, and I'm glad it's in my collection. And that is my number. Oh, let me go back here. My number 3, First Rat. And I just noticed that apparently we have lost Carla. So she's just joining us again. Let me bring her back. I'm not sure what you did there, but Carla is back.
I was like, did our power? I think our power just tripped or something.
Oh, mine did twice or 3 times last night, so I'm not surprised.
Really?
Yeah, but we are number 2, and you're up. So.
Wow. All right. My number 2 is Rococo. Now this one I find odd because it's so, again, back in the what century is it? It's it doesn't talk about it, but
15th century or wow.
Yes, you're right. It is the 15th century. Basically what we were doing is we were designing all these frocks and dresses for high society, and we were hoping to sell these dresses and rent them out so that they can go to see the fireworks. That is the big point. I didn't know that. I guess fireworks have been around that long, but it's quite a heavier game too. It's not just like a light game about doing little things. There's a lot to consider in this game. You are trying to gather all the material and the thread and the lace and things in order to build these dresses or frocks. And then you can also acquire the matching jewelry to give you better points as well, or money. It is a deck builder at heart because you have a deck you all start with like a starting deck, and you will choose from that deck which cards you want to play each round. It's 3 cards, I believe. And then when you've used those cards, you're going to put them in a discard pile and then choose from what's left. Now you can acquire more cards, which is very wise to do because as soon as you acquire one, you get to use it that round too. So that will give you a whole extra action. I guess you've used the action to purchase a card, but then you get another one. Now on these cards, it's you're going to have your journeyman, your apprentice, and your I forget what the other one's called. Journeyman, apprentice, and master. So and they can do different things. The masters can do anything, but then the other apprentice and journeyman can only do limited amount of actions. And then you are using those actions to do certain things, but then they also have a bonus on them. Every card usually has some sort of bonus, so it'll give you another action to do. So you're just trying to plan things out and trying to, like I said, sell or rent out these dresses, but it's neat what you're doing. The selling is just to get more money. Money is pretty tight, so you do have to sell some of the dresses and frocks. But when you rent them out, you will place one of your discs in one of these halls, and there's, I believe, 5 halls. And so it's kind of like an area control. You're trying to control each hall and have the most presence in each of those halls. And then you can also purchase different statues and things like that. That will give more presence in each of these halls. But once you've gotten into this top middle hall, then that's when, if you get there, you can move them up into the fireworks after. And those are only the most prestigious people get there. So you need to try to get a spot in that one hall and then pay the money on the top part of the fireworks to get them up there. It's a really, really neat game. I played this old version of it at one of the conventions way back, and a lot of people had talked about this game, and it was so highly valued because it was out of print. So if you could get your hands on this Rococo, you were just golden, because it was very hard to get. Then they reprinted it, and they did this beautiful deluxe version, which I got to purchase because I could never find a copy of it. And it basically plays the same way, just has a different look to it. There might be 1 or 2 little more expansions than the old version, but it's still the same game, and it just plays wonderfully. And I usually don't love the air control about, my bigger, heavier games, but this one, it feels so good because you're gonna get some control in some area. So it's not like, unless you're playing very badly, you're gonna get nothing. But there's always ways to, because if you can see people going to some of these halls, well, I'm just gonna kind of take over these halls and I'll just give up on those ones, kind of thing. But it's just a lovely, beautiful game I find it an odd theme. Because it's not something that is done anymore. We are not building all these ballroom dresses, and we're not going to balls, and we're just not high class anymore, I guess. I don't know.
I tell you, right.
But
where have we gone wrong?
Yes, what have we done? We're all just so casual and chill now. But anyway, that's my number 2, Rococo.
Nice. Good game. All right. My number 2 is a game about creating set collection of different cats. And of course, the biggest concern when you have cats is the litter box. And this game is, you're trying to create set of cats, and the first one to create certain sets and collect so much point win the game. However, if you ever get too many poop in your litter box and you don't scoop them out in time, you lose. So, and every time you add a cat to your collection, now you have an extra cat pooping in the litter box as well. So you got to keep that in mind. And you have this tile that's like a double layered tile that kind of creates a little litter box. And then you have these little meeple that are poop. Well, they call them pooples. So it's like little poop-shaped meeples that you drop into your litter box. And you can have some cards that will play to another player that has like the mystery poop. So every time you have to add poop, you have to add an extra one that nobody knows where it comes from. And then you have the cats that you're connecting with each other, but they'll have the nemesis. And if you ever have that nemesis cat at the same time as you have these cats, then they're too busy fighting. So those 2 cats then get flipped over and they're not worth anything until you get one of those cats out of your hand. But you can like utilize like swap cards, because there's like your cat cards that you'll be adding. There's also the tool cards that will allow you to like use to lure, or you'll get the pooper scooper so you can go and clean up the litter box, or different things that will kind of mitigate how you interact with the cats. But this game is so like, it's a neat, interesting game. I wouldn't say like it's an amazing game, except those pooples are completely worth just to have. But this is all a game about getting cats and not being overrun by poop in your litter box. So that is my number 2, too many poops.
Do you have this game?
Yes.
Never seen
I've had this game a long time.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Yeah.
I just want to see the pooples now.
Yes, next time you're over, I'll show it to you.
All right. My number one is maybe not odd to you, but it's called Grand Austria Hotel. To me, the odd part of this game is the expansion that adds to it. In the base game, you are basically running a cafe hotel and you are feeding guests and then putting them into rooms. That seems fairly normal. But with the expansion, it's funny because once you've fed them, you're going to choose to either put them in the rooms or they're going to go dancing. And when they dance, they don't get a room. So I don't know if they just dance all night long. I'm not sure, but I guess that's what they do. And how you play this game, it is a dice selection game. So there is a central board and a whole bunch of dice are rolled, and depending on the pip, they go in certain areas, and then you all just draft dice. And you will draft one per turn, and depending on the dice you draft, however many dice are in that pool on that area, that's the strength of your action. So if you are going to one where you gain money, if I had 4 dice there, I take one and I would get $4. If I go to the area where I can gather cake and coffee or wine and strudel, then depending on the power, that's what I get. Now, the resources can go straight onto your guests, which are cards, which you will draft at the beginning of the round as well. And you have only 3 spots for guests. And you can place those resources directly on them, or they go into your kitchen. And once they're in their kitchen, they're kind of locked in there, and you need to pay to release them again. So once you've completed these guests, then you can flip them over. They have a point value on them that you would get. They also have a little bonus in the bottom. And then they have to go either in a room or into the dance hall. And if they go in a room, they have to be the same color as their guest. So if you don't have an open room for that guest yet, then you can't. You just have to leave them there. You have to wait until you have a possible room for them. Now, the rooms are kind of neat because it's your own player board with different colored rooms. There's yellow, blue, and red, and they're kind of clumped together. And once you complete a section of a light colored room, you get a bonus. And each different colored room has different bonuses. So you might get points, money, or you might move up on this reputation track. Now, these designers always love to have some sort of track, and it actually isn't a reputation track. It's like an emperor track. And in other games, it's like the church track. And it's always a track that if you don't get far enough up on it, you're going to be punished. Which, in a hotel, this is another odd part of the game. It's like, what am I, why do I need to move up on this track, or I get negative things? So, but it's always kind of the same. You have to move up on this track at the end of the round. You move down so much, and if you're still on the positive, then you gain something. If you don't, you lose something. So it's always kind of a fight to get those cards that will give you those actions, or the dice. If you're choosing money or the emperor track, it's the same dice action. You just need to get up it, and it's interesting. But then there's like end game goals, and the neat thing is if they go into the ballroom, if you have the expansion, you're using champagne as another resource for that. And then those areas are little area control areas. So every 3 rounds, one of those ballroom halls is going to score. And so you want to get in the right ones at the right time. Like, you don't want to go into the ones that are going to score in the last round too early, because, you know, that's not going to score till later. You want to get in that first one and try to get a bunch of dancers in there. And the neat thing is you can put them in different areas in that hall. And so depending how much champagne you have, you can put them in like the lowest level, or you can put them in the second or third level. And each level is going to give you sweeter and juicier bonuses from it. It's such a cool game. It's one of my favorites. It was in my top 10. And it's just has the silly theme, I think, about, you know, you're either dancing or you're going to bed. And and if not, then you just sit there and wait. And you wait for a room or a dance hall to become available because you don't have the resources. But it's just a very, very neat game. And that's my number 1, Grand Austria Hotel.
Very nice. My number 1 is, I think, the most unique out of all the themes. And this is Unexploded Cow.
Oh, yeah.
And this game is about, so we're in these village in France and the war is over. However, there's landmines all over the place. So we're going to be collecting cows and then we're going to like roll the dice and it kind of goes from your rightmost cow going towards the left. And if you don't have enough cows for what you roll, then it goes to the next player across their cows. And then wherever the dice lands, that cow goes out into the field until it explodes one of the mines. So the cow is dead. However, the village is so grateful to you that they pay you and you get the money worth for discovering where that particular landmine is. Now, artwork is hilarious. You have all these cows in like military outfits and they all have like these different things and different abilities, and you can even have like little spy cows that'll go in other people's hand, but if they're the one that explode, you get the money. And you know, eventually you want to have enough cows in front of you that when you roll, it's one of your cow that explodes, so you're not like exploding other people's cow. But it's kind of a goal that at the end of the game, whoever has the most money is the winner. But it's such a different spin on a theme. And when I looked at it, Unexploded Cow, but I don't know. And I put it back and then it was like, oh, no, it's actually really, really good. And I had like 3 or 4 people tell me how great this game was. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll take it. And then we played it. And this is one that we have played many times. I haven't in a little while here, so we definitely should get it played again. But it's just such a funny, interesting game. And yeah, you have like some like really scrawny cows and then like some like the artwork is just hilarious. But that is my number one, the game with the most unusual theme, and that is Unexploded Cow.
Yeah, that one looks funny. How many does it play?
I don't let me double check here because I have my thing open. So Unexploded Cow will play, because I think we've played the whole family, so I think it plays at least 6, but BGG says 2 to 6 players.
Huh.
Cool. Yeah.
Oh,
so this was our list of our top 9 games with an odd theme. Now, if you've come across different games that are like, no, this game is even weirder, we want to know about it, let us know. But so yeah, so this was it. So next episode, we're going to be doing our top 9 game of games we should like, but don't.
Yeah, on paper, it should be one of our go-tos, but for some reason or not, it's not.
It just doesn't click. It just doesn't click. But before we get to that, Carla, where can we find you?
I'm on Instagram at boardgamespecialist, all one word, and I have a Facebook page called Red Deer Board Game Fanatics. What about you?
So first of all, we do have our Discord, so be sure to join us on there. But I am on Instagram at Mel's_boardgame_room. I also have a Facebook page called Mel's Board Game Room. And of course, my YouTube channel, Mel's Board Game Room. So thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening.